There are three main mistakes that I want to talk about today that I see people making all the time, whether they are talking to potential clients, whether they're talking to contractors that they're subcontracting with, or whether they're talking to their kids and their husband or their friends or the nonprofit group that they work with. These mistakes are being made all the time. I'm putting a stop to them today. So if that sounds like something that you need to know more about, continue to watch. Make sure you are following me over on Instagram and TikTok. I'm working my way through it. We'll see. But I'm really trying to grow over on LinkedIn, chatting with you over there, sharing tons of value over there. And more importantly, this program, Project CEO, is about to knock your socks off. So if you are not on the wait list for that, it's down in the show notes. It's down there in the description. Hit that link and let's go ahead and get you on the wait list, okay? Because we are opening those doors very, very soon. I'll talk more about that in a bit. But for now, let's head over to these three mistakes that you probably know somebody making them. Definitely not you. I'm sure you're not making them, but just so you recognize them in other people, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what they are. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Andrea Patrick, the BU Boss. You might know me. Thank you for joining me again. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. I am your resident marketing strategist who teaches you how to put the BU in your business. Now, what does that mean, Andrea? You might ask. Well, so many people are starting businesses these days. They're in business, or trying to climb the corporate ladder, or they are philanthropic and they're on a ton of boards. But either way, understanding how you connect to your business, to your career, to your life is important. So I'm showing you how to show up authentically, use what you know about yourself to be the boss. Okay. So this whole channel is about putting the BU in your business, learning how to use personal branding to create amazing marketing strategies, to build a career that you can be proud of, or to just show up as yourself confidently, unapologetically. That's the main thing. Showing up confidently, showing up unapologetically. That's what I'm sharing with you here on this channel. Today, we're doing that through communication. All right. Number one, avoidance. This is a communication style that does not work. Okay. If you are making this communication mistake, stop it right now. Oh, that's right. You're definitely not. But if you've noticed this in someone else, recognize it for what it is. This is someone who is passive aggressive. They bury their head in the sand. They don't want to face whatever needs to be communicated. Maybe it's scary. Maybe they know the outcome is not going to be what they want it to be. Either way, this is not what we should be doing. It is a mistake to avoid. This passive aggressive behavior has to stop. So how can you stop it, Andrea? You might ask. Well, number one, recognize it for what it is. Recognize that that is the communication style of avoidance, passive aggressiveness, and you have to kind of define it, recognize it, and know how to change it. If this is you, what I would suggest, instead of burying your head in the sand and trying to avoid what needs to happen, set yourself up for success. Create what I call circumstances for optimal success. This is where you take what you know about yourself, you take what you've understood about yourself you need to do and be your best, and you create a set of circumstances that makes it easier for you to communicate your needs, to set boundaries, and to manage expectations. It doesn't have to be as hard or as scary as you think it is. It doesn't have to be that monster in the corner that you're afraid is there. It can literally be a situation where, because you've managed expectations and set boundaries early on, the conversations that you would typically avoid aren't necessary because you have actually set the groundwork for being able to not have to have them. However, if for some reason those situations still arise and you find that you are having to face the music, you have done, like I said, set the groundwork, and you can always point backwards and say, remember when I said, or the reason that we set this up this way was so that it makes it easier. You don't have to have a cold conversation where this is the first time you've had to bring this up and it's scary. it takes that first time scary approach out of it. So you don't have to avoid it, because now you're just sort of looking back, reminding, just kind of making those suggestions because you've set the framework in the beginning. So if you don't want to be in this category where you're making the mistake of, just avoiding and being passive aggressive, go ahead, create circumstances for optimal success so that you can sort of be proactive in this area instead of reactive. Because it's in the reaction, that's the scary part, where you feel like you have to figure out what to say or how to say it. Well, creating those circumstances for optimal success is going to help out with that. All right. The next communication that I think is a mistake is the confrontational. Now, you might look at this as, well, I'm just upfront. I'm just honest. That can be intimidating, and it is a mistake, because if you are in business, you could potentially lose business from being too aggressive. If you are climbing the corporate ladder, you could be overlooked because people don't want to work with you because you are too intimidating. If you are with your kids, with your husband, with your spouse, with your friends, if you are too aggressive, that could become your reputation. It could become that you are the one that nobody wants to tell the truth to. Therefore, you're walking through life being lied to and thinking one thing when it's really something different. You don't want to be confrontational. You want to be open, and you want to hear what other people have to say. Here is where I suggest to avoid this, is learning what you need to know about yourself to do what I call manage the volume of your personality. A lot of times when I talk to people about this, they're like, well, I'm not going to change. This is just who I am. And it's okay for you to be you. This channel is all about you being unapologetically you. However, you being you, if you want to operate in society and work with other people, you are going to have to make adjustments. And so the best way to do that is to understand yourself, be introspective, learn what you need to do and be your best. Learn your boundaries. Learn your strengths, your limitations, and your desires and your non-negotiables, which is what I call the personal framework. And in doing so, it allows you to know where you stand in situations and whether or not it's a situation where managing the volume of your personality is going to get you closer to what it is you want. Sometimes your personality needs to be on an 8 in order for you to get the job done. You need to be that person that is strong and that is definitive, that decisive, discerning, and that people respect. But there is a way to do that that is not aggressive, that is not confrontational. So here, to avoid this mistake, again, introspection, understanding who you are and what you need to do and be your best, but learning how to take that information and manage the volume of your personality is going to be the key. Now, the last mistake that I found people make is one that, again, like all three, are going to be mitigated when you have become the chief executive officer of you. And I just want to put in right here a little bit more information about Project CEO before I get to the last mistake. Because what I've found when working with clients and just having general conversations is that we don't want people to think we are less than. We don't want people to feel like we can't get the job done. We don't want to be transparent, or we don't want to feel like people are questioning our abilities. And so we don't always tell the truth, or we put on this armor to protect ourselves from what other people might think. And that's not necessary when you are confident in the value you're bringing to the table, when you know your lane, when you understand which dollar is the best dollar to pick up for you, so that you're not constantly feeling like you need to prove yourself to people, but you can walk in your expertise and know that you're enough. The best way to do that is to understand who you are, how you want to show up with the value you have, understanding your superpower, and how you want to share it with the world. That's what Project CEO helps you do. It is an opportunity for you to construct the chief executive officer within you so that you can leverage that leadership everywhere. You can lead yourself in every situation and come out feeling like you have done your best, you didn't leave anything on the table, and that Not only that, but you are putting yourself in a situation where your best can shine. You are creating those circumstances for optimal success, and therefore you're much more discerning. You're picking up the best possible projects for you, and you know how to leave the ones that aren't for you on the table. Anyway, so I think Project CEO is definitely for you if you're finding you're struggling with any of these communication mistakes. So in the description box, there is a link to get on the wait list. The beauty of this wait list is it's for those of you who are serious about it, and you are going to get the best benefits, the best discounts, the best gifts. All of that is done for only those people who are on the wait list. So even if you're not sure if you want to take the program, get on the wait list, because it's better to be there and not need it than to need it and not be there. Okay. Now, the last communication mistake that I want to share with you is the communication mistake of just confusion, of just not being clear about what it is you're trying to say. And sometimes that's because we get ahead of ourselves. Now, we get so excited. I am passionate about what I do. And sometimes when I hear myself, I can feel myself rambling on and not really making any sense in my own head. So what I've learned to do to combat this problem and not be as confusing, or at least, not as confusing, is to create an outline so that what I'm talking about has a natural progression and I'm not like a squirrel, And so if you find that in whether you're speaking with someone, you're coaching someone, you're in a meeting and you feel like, or you can hear yourself starting to ramble, to avoid that or combat that, create an outline for yourself of what it is you want to say and put it in the order in which you want to say it. That way it keeps you on track. You can talk about each component as you progress in the conversation. If someone wants to skip down to something else, if they have a suggestion or a thought, you can always check your outline to get yourself back on track if you need to do that. Therefore, you're not leaving anything out. You're getting all of the pertinent information out there, and you're not scatterbrained all over the place, confusing people when you talk to them. So I believe that in understanding how you communicate in the first place, like I said, it makes it so much easier for you to then look at how other people communicate and then be able to be more effective and efficient in those conversations, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, because as you know, communication is 55% nonverbal. So we have to understand what our communication is saying, even when we're not talking. That's important as well. That is the fourth mistake that I just added that one. That wasn't even on my notes. But the fourth mistake that I'll add is that you are not taking into account that nonverbal communication is also speaking for you. Whether you are going for a job interview, whether you are on a contract with a client, or whether you are at church and you're on a committee, the facial expressions, the way you dress, all of these things are communicating a message. They're saying something about you, and people are taking cues from that. They are listening to what they're seeing, if that makes sense. So not taking into account your nonverbal messaging and determining what you want that to say about you when you're not speaking is another mistake that I've seen people make. And I know that you feel like, people should look at your work and judge you based on your ability to get the work done. And that is all great, grand, and wonderful in a perfect world, but it is just not how the world works. And people are looking at you before you ever speak, whether it's on paper, whether it's in pictures, whether it's just you walking in a room and how you look when you walk in a room. Those assumptions are being made. Those narratives are being seen, whether you like it or not. So the fourth mistake I'll say is not taking into account the nonverbal communication that happens. This is a big one, guys. I mean, I can't believe I didn't have it on my paper, but I'm glad I thought about it. So if you are finding that you are struggling with either of these four or a combination of these four communication mistakes, I beg you, get on the wait list for Project CEO. We are going to tackle it all. And you're going to learn how to use what you learn about yourself to leverage it across platforms and be the chief executive officer, be the leader of your own success. You are going to become the architect of your success after this program. I can't speak enough about it. So go tell your friends, tag people on Instagram, and tell them about Project CEO, especially if you've had them tell you that they're struggling in any of these areas. All right, I think that does it for today. Hit that subscription button, click the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and join me back here next week for another edition. I'm sharing more about how you can be unapologetically you and put the BU in your business. All right, see you next week. Bye.